From the very first breath of dawn, when sunlight had barely risen and the world still hovered between dreams and waking, a hush settled over the ancient village of Lumeria, the kind of silence that whispers right before fate unravels something extraordinary. On that fragile edge of morning, a girl with shimmering golden hair stood alone by the sleeping river, her reflection trembling softly on the surface like it feared to meet her eyes. Her name was Goldina, though no one called her that anymore, for the world seemed too ordinary to speak a name that carried such radiance. She was born human, but touched with a secret the villagers sensed but never understood, a lingering glow in her gaze, the faint, glittering aura that danced around her whenever the wind brushed past her. And while others saw this as strange, even frightening, she lived with it like a quiet ache, carrying beauty that made her different and loneliness that made her strong. Today, however, something deep within her shifted, as if destiny itself had stirred from a long sleep and chosen her name again. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and stories that heal hearts, please like, share, comment, and subscribe. Your support truly keeps stories like this alive. Goldina's life had never been gentle, though she carried its burdens with silence. Orphaned at 7, she was raised by her aunt, a woman hardened by life and blinded by superstitions. Every strange glow, every gentle shimmer that followed Goldina would make her aunt whisper that the girl was touched by something unnatural. And so Goldina grew up learning how to hide her light, pulling her hair back tightly so it wouldn't glow in the sun, keeping her eyes lowered so no one would notice the soft golden flecks in her irises. But magic, even when hidden, has a way of revealing itself. Flowers bloomed longer around her, wounded animals crawled toward her instead of away, and the sky always seemed a shade brighter when she stepped outside. She never asked for any of this, and she certainly never understood it. All she wanted was a place where she belonged, a life where her light wasn't something feared, but something embraced. Her only true companion was the river. Old villagers called it the Lemurian vein, believing it held memories of ancient magic that once flowed freely through the kingdom. Goldina often sat beside it, letting its murmurs soothe her restlessness. She wondered if perhaps her strange glow came from being born near this magical water, from being a child of something ancient and forgotten. She wondered if somewhere out there, hidden in the folds of the forests or the depth of the mountains, existed someone else who carried magic too, not as a burden, but as a blessing. Life changed for her the day the neighboring kingdom's prince, Adrian, visited Lumeria in disguise. He came seeking refuge from the suffocating expectations of royalty. Disguised as a simple traveler, he wandered through the village seeking answers about an old prophecy that spoke of a girl whose light was not fire yet warmed the coldest hearts. He didn't believe in prophecies, but something compelled him to search, and his restless journey eventually led him to the very river where Goldina stood that morning. When he first saw her, he was struck not by her glow but by the loneliness in her posture, the quiet sorrow in the way she held herself as if apologizing for existing. She didn't notice him at first. She was far too lost in her thoughts, unaware that this moment would change not just her fate, but the fate of an entire kingdom. Adrian observed from a distance, drawn in by a force he couldn't explain. Goldina felt a shift in the air, a soft presence behind her, as though destiny had stepped closer. She turned, and for the first time, someone didn't look away from her golden shimmer, he looked into it. And in that single heartbeat, the world felt less heavy. But Goldina, conditioned by years of fear and rejection, backed away, lowering her gaze. She expected him to react like the others, but instead he took a step closer with no trace of fear or judgment. It unsettled her deeply. Nothing in her life had prepared her for someone who didn't see her magic as a curse. Despite her hesitation, their paths continued to cross over the next weeks. Adrian learned that the villagers whispered cruel tales about her glow, calling her an omen of storms, a sign of bad harvests, or a remnant of forbidden sorcery. Yet he saw things they didn't: the kindness in her hands when she helped a wounded bird, the quiet bravery in her smile despite years of being misunderstood, the subtle way her presence brought peace to the world around her. Goldina, on the other hand, felt torn. She wanted to believe someone could see her without fear, but she had spent too many years learning that closeness only brought pain. And Adrian was a stranger, someone who didn't know the weight she carried. But fate has a way of cracking open even the hardest truths. One evening, a storm swept across Lemuria, fierce and violent. Rivers swelled, winds roared, and the fragile dam holding back the Vala's water began to tremble. Panic spread throughout the village. Goldina, sensing danger long before others did, ran toward the breaking dam. Adrian followed her, not understanding how she knew, but trusting her instinct completely. They reached the collapsing structure as villagers fled in terror. Goldina's glow intensified under the storm's fury, her golden aura flickering like wildfire as she desperately pushed her hands against the cracking wall. It was useless. Her strength was human, not magical enough to stop nature's force. Then something extraordinary happened. The river responded, as if recognizing her, remembering her, or perhaps awakening to her presence. The water shimmered bolder shade of gold and surged upward in a shield-like arc. It wasn't violent. It wasn't monstrous. It was gentle, warm, and protective. The villagers watched in shock as the glowing water wrapped around the dam long enough for Adrian and others to reinforce it with heavy beams and stone. For the first time, Goldina's magic didn't frighten them, it saved them. But humans, even when grateful, fear what they cannot explain. And though some saw a miracle, others began spreading rumors that she had caused the storm, that her magic attracted danger, that she was a threat. The village grew divided, with Goldina in the center of a silent storm of suspicion. Adrian saw all this and knew he could not remain a bystander. He revealed his true identity to her, a prince who carried responsibilities larger than himself. Goldina was stunned. A prince, someone whose world was filled with perfection, order, and expectations. How could someone like her fit into such a place? She told him he belonged somewhere grand, somewhere bright, while she belonged nowhere. But Adrian disagreed. He believed she belonged to the world as much as any person touched by fate, perhaps even more. He believed her light wasn't something to hide. It was something meant to guide. Still, Goldina's fear ran deep. That night, she decided to leave, run far from the village and the prince before she caused more chaos. She walked through the forest, the moon reflecting faintly on her glowing hair, tears trembling on her lashes. She didn't realize Adrian had followed her, desperately trying to stop her from disappearing into the darkness. But before he reached her, she collapsed near the Heartstone Tree, a mythical place rumored to awaken latent magic. Her aura burned brighter than ever, as if her sadness was amplifying the ancient power inside her. The Heartstone Tree, reacting to her turmoil, began pulsating with golden light. The earth trembled gently, not in fear but in recognition. Goldina's hidden lineage revealed itself not through bloodline, but through destiny. She wasn't cursed. She wasn't a natural. She was one of the ancient guardians of light, protectors of balance in the kingdom. Her glow was a gift born from a forgotten magic meant to heal lands, calm storms, and awaken hope. She had inherited it naturally, though unknowingly, and now, at that sacred tree, her power awakened fully, not wild, not dangerous, but pure and breathtaking. Adrian reached her as waves of light settled. He saw her transformation, not physical, but emotional. She no longer seemed like the lonely girl hiding her glow. She seemed like someone meant to stand in the world without fear. But she still trembled, afraid of what it all meant. Adrian embraced her not as a prince comforting a magical being, but as someone who loved her humanity, her courage, her vulnerability. He promised to stand by her, not because she had magic, but because she had a heart that never stopped caring even when wounded. Together, they returned to the village. This time, Goldina didn't hide her glow. She let it shine softly, warming the air. Some villagers knelt in fear, others in awe. But Goldina didn't want worship. She only wanted acceptance. Adrian announced to everyone that she was a guardian of light, a protector, not a threat. Over time, the village learned to trust her, respect her, and eventually love her. Her light revived dying crops, eased drought, healed aching wounds, and brought peace where fear had once ruled. Goldina finally found what she'd always longed for, a place where she belonged, not because of her magic, but because she had shown the true depth of her heart. Years later, she would stand again by the river, no longer alone, but with the one who believed in her before she believed in herself. Her glow became a symbol of hope across kingdoms, and the girl once feared became the legend known as Little Goldina, the guardian who loved deeply, shined bravely, and taught the world that even the smallest light can change destiny. If this story touched your heart even a little, please like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support truly inspires more beautiful stories like this. Before we end, special request, comment below, I believe in the light within people, and let your heart shine, just like Little Goldina's.